Hello, my name is Andrew and I have a problem. I have a shoe problem. I have too many running shoes and I want to talk about it. So I'm going to make this video into two sections. The first part is going to be all about what is a 12 shoe rotation even look like. And it's basically a 6 shoe rotation times 2, an A team and a B team. And secondly, I want to talk about what exactly are my 12 shoes that are in my rotation. Okay, for part 1, let's talk about what does a 12 shoe rotation even look like. Starting with one shoe, a one shoe rotation. Now, I hear you. One shoe isn't a rotation because it's not rotating out with anything else. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I went to a restaurant one time and I said, it's just me. And the guy said, okay. And then he said, Andrew, party of one. And that's when I realized one person can be the party. You can have a one shoe rotation, one shoe to rule them all. This would be recommended probably for people like my wife or just dipping their toes into running. Just need one shoe. They run really at one pace, 14-minute miles or whatever that is. They ran the 10K in it and they train in it on a daily basis. Now, if I had to have two shoes for a rotation, I would have the one shoe that did most of my training. And when it came to race day, I would also run in that same shoe. Now, if I had a 3 shoe rotation, I would have the one shoe for the daily training. I'd have the second shoe for all of the speed work. And for the third shoe, I would invest in a race day shoe. Now, this is assuming that I'm trying to go for a personal best in my time. I've gotten serious about my running and I'm training for this particular event. If I were going to build a 4 shoe rotation, this is where it gets interesting. This is where I think the path would split for many people. Let's talk about it. I'd have 1 for daily training, 2 for speed work, 3 for the race day. And for the 4th one, I would say a second speed day shoe. 1 speed day shoe, which would be the first one, would be for like tempo, threshold, marathon pace. And of course, if I had to 5K, 10K, it would just be 1 speed shoe for everything. But now I'm adding for my 4th shoe, a second speed day, something 5K, mile pace, really fast, all out, a little bit lighter, a little bit more nimble of a shoe. Now, where I can see someone else going on a different path would be going to the recovery day shoe. The reason I'm not doing it is because it's not 2020 anymore. And if it was 2020 and I was just getting into running like I was in 2020 and my daily trainer looked like a Peg 37, I would be like, ooh, I need something with a little bit more protection underfoot. Let me go get a max cushion shoe. These days though, a lot of the daily trainers, and we'll get into this, trust me, especially when we get into my rotation, they already come very well structured and padded. The stacks are bigger these days. And I feel like most daily trainers, I can go for my daily run paces and I can go easier into recovery paces. So I feel that daily trainer checks 2 boxes a lot of the time. So shoe number 4, I'm gonna go second speed day shoe. That being said, for shoe number 5, I'm gonna be rolling into the recovery day shoe because I have a problem, because I'm gonna have 5 shoes, actually 12. I'm gonna go ahead and add that recovery day shoe to my rotation because I deserve it and I'm worth it. All right, now let's talk about the 6th shoe in my 12 shoe rotation, which is 6 shoe rotation times 2. I see a lot of videos on shoe rotations. They say 3, 4, maybe up to 5. Rarely do I see anything with a 6 shoe in the rotation. So what is that shoe? Well, first we have our daily trainer, 2, we have some speed work, 3, we have a race day, 4, we have a second speed day shoe, 5, we have the recovery day shoe, and for number 6, I'm calling it a treadmill / gym day shoe. This is essentially a daily trainer with ground contact feel, more minimal and nimble because I'm gonna be doing lifts in it, deadlifts, squats. I need to be able to feel the ground. Also works really well on the treadmill because if I'm on the treadmill, I'm not doing super long runs on those. After my lifts, I might be doing 3 or 4 miles. So something like, well, let's just get into it. What are my treadmill / gym day shoes? Actually, before we get into that, I failed to tell you kind of how this works. So I have 12 shoes. I don't run all 12 shoes during one particular week. It's over a 2-week cycle. So I may have like an A team that I run in for like 1 week. And then the next week I rotate out to the other shoe per category. So my 12 shoe rotation, which we're getting into right now, I'm gonna have 2 shoes per every single category we just talked about. Now let's get to the gym day shoes. All right, for my first gym day / treadmill shoe, I'm rolling with the Nike Vomero 16, which I got on sale for 50 bucks on Finish Line or Starting Line, I don't know. One of those 2 I just mentioned is a band and the other one sells shoes, and I got it from the one that sells shoes. The band did not send me these shoes. Anyway, good ground contact feel under the forefoot. To my understanding, this is kind of the MO for Nike Daily Trainers. This shoe rocks for that intended purpose. For my second gym slash treadmill shoe, I'm rolling with the Reebok Float Ride Energy 5. Now, this thing's so bright, it might cause the lens to focus on it. My face will go out of focus here. Anyway, got this one on sale, 40 bucks, Target, online. That's one of the great things about these more minimal classic daily trainer type shoes is that you can get previous models on sale for around 50 bucks. Other shoes like this in my rotation that I still pull out occasionally is the Brooks Hyperion Tempo, also the Trinusa 14. You just look around. There's sales everywhere for these shoes and they're good for that purpose. All right, moving on to the recovery day shoe. On my A team, I have the Hoka Skyward X. Yes, I paid all of the money for all of the shoe and there is a lot of it. Now, this is a very versatile shoe. Yes, it does the recovery paces. It also does a lot of my daily training runs and I can pick up the pace up to about marathon pace in this shoe. Why is that relevant? Well, because when you're trying to decide on two shoes, like you don't have a shoe problem, you're just getting a couple of shoes to do all your training in, you're looking for shoes with more range that aren't just like, that's a recovery day shoe. Like in the New Balance 1080, I could not pick up the pace to save my life in that shoe. It really sunk me down into recovery paces, but this one has some bounce to it. So even though it is a recovery day shoe, I can use it for daily training miles. I can take it for long runs, especially even if it has marathon pace. It is heavy, of course, but there's a lot of bounce, so you don't feel the weight too much. It is my recovery day shoe number 1. Recovery day shoe number 2, I'm gonna run with the Adidas Prime X Strung. I have over 500 miles in this shoe. I could easily have an excuse to go out and buy another recovery day shoe, but I'm not going to because I wanna see over the course of the next year or year and a half, if I can get this shoe to 1,000 miles. It still feels incredible. It's awesome. It did cost $300. I got it on sale for only $200. But I've said this before, I feel really good about it. It is an amazing shoe. It also has the versatility of doing recovery miles, daily training, up to marathon pace, and maybe even a little faster. I wouldn't say 5K pace, but this shoe really can do a lot. It's got a big range. That's my recovery day shoe number 2. For my daily trainer, my favorite daily trainer of the year, I'm about to do a 100-mile review on the shoe. It is the Nova Blast 4. I love the ASICS Nova Blast like Chris Sagasal loves the Nike Pegasus. And so in my review of the Nova Blast 4, I'm gonna compare it to the 1, the 2, the 3, and we're gonna get into it in much detail. Now, earlier when we were talking about how daily trainers can sometimes slow down into recovery paces, this is the shoe that I had in mind when I said that, because there's so much stack in the heel, and this shoe feels really good no matter where you land, if you land heel, midfoot, or forefoot. But there's so much protection underfoot that you can use it for daily training and then also for recovery paces. Oh, and guys, I forgot to mention, this is also a very good shoe for walking. Yeah, I know. I get people who reach out to me on Instagram and on the YouTube, the YT, and they say like, hey, my man, is this a good shoe to walk in? What about this shoe? Is this shoe good for walking? And I'm usually like, I don't know, because I'm into running and I like to run in shoes and I don't know about walking, though I do walk in a lot of shoes. Well, I'm here to tell you, my man, this is a really good walker by all accounts. And I've worn it a lot to work and to other places casually, despite it looking like it does pretty ugly. And it's made worse by the fact it got so dirty. So this is my first daily training shoe. Guys, if you are enjoying any of this, please consider subscribing. I was talking to my little nephew, Jay, and he told me nobody subscribes anymore because the algorithm already serves you up whatever you want. Well, anyway, if you're feeling frisky and you want to support the running community, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Thanks, guys. Back to it. Okay, and for my daily trainer shoe number 2, it is the Mount to Coast R1. Now, this shoe, much like the Nova Blast 4, feels very similar. It has a wine platform underneath. In fact, if you look at them from underneath, they look very similar, but from the top, they're very different. The Nova Blast 4 has all this extra stuff, this extra foam here around the forefoot and the heel is just a very bulky kind of shoe, and there's less bulk in the R1, but the ride experience feels very similar, and there are some technology and there's more stability elements in this shoe rather than the Nova Blast 4, but this is a shoe that I feel like I can go in all day. The Nova Blast 4 as well. The two things about the shoe, or the one common denominator between the two shoes, is that neither one of them is super aggressive. Neither one of them bounces me forward and makes me feel like I have to like slow down to get in control of the shoe. I am in control of both of these shoes, and I can run whatever paces that I want, and that to me is important in my daily trainers. So my second daily trainer coming in, the Mount to Coast R1. Okay, moving on to the fourth category, we're going into the tempo or the threshold day shoes. Coming in at number 1 for me is the Mizuno Neovista. I love this shoe. I love this shoe, guys. I still have a way to go in it, like another 50 miles before I get you a full review, but it might be my shoe of the year. Now, the range of paces for this shoe, I would say daily miles all the way up to tempo or threshold work. I think I'm gonna love this shoe at long runs with a bunch of marathon pace work in it. It's a little bit heavy for that, but that's good because it's a super trainer. And I think in this category is where you might find super trainers, or you might find failed super shoes from last year that didn't quite hit the mark, that have a lot of the components of super but aren't quite super shoes. That's where you find this category. So anyway, got a lot of thoughts. There's a video that just came out comparing this to the SE Trainer V1. Check that out. I'll leave a link right here. And let's move on to the next shoe. My second super trainer shoe for tempo days. All right, for my second shoe in my threshold day category, I'm gonna roll with the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4. Yes, I know this was a super shoe, is a super shoe considered in that category, but for me, it is not aggressive enough to be a super shoe. I'm not gonna take this out for race day, so that makes it perfect to train in. And so this is in that like super trainer category and for threshold days. Now, I ran a workout in it, and then Mizuno sent me this shoe, which is awesome. So I started running in this shoe. I'm gonna alternate back to the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 and vice versa for most of my rotations. One week it's one shoe, the next week it's another shoe. It's just racking up miles and getting in the runs in both shoes. But for the workouts, sometimes it does depend on how I'm feeling. There's a difference between the Neovista and the Endo Pro 4. You see, the Neovista is really bouncy and it's got some bend to it, whereas the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 is a little bit firmer and has a little bit more snap. Now, it doesn't have as much snap as the Endo Pro 3, and a lot of people like the 3 more than the 4, but comparing these shoes, when I'm going out for a run, sometimes I have to check in with my body and see kind of what I'm feeling to decide what shoe that I want to take out. Anyway, this is the Saucony Endorphin Pro. It is my second threshold day shoe. Eventually, I will get a review out for this as well. For the fifth category, my second speed day shoe, I'm rolling my first one, the Nike Dragonfly Spikes. I never ran in high school. I never ran in college. I never got the experience, and I really missed out. So today I took these out. I just got these shoes, and I'm an old man in spikes, and my inner kiddo is loving every bit of it. It's exciting. It's a very light shoe. I'm doing some 5K and 10K work in it, and that's where I'm at. Yeah, so this is one part. So obviously I have to be at the track for this 5K, 10K speed work, but number one, Nike Dragonfly. And for my second speed day 5K shoe, you guessed it, the Adidas Adizero Takumi Sen 8. It's my second pair of these shoes. I missed out on the 9 when they went on sale. I missed out on the 10. Always looking for those sales, and I'm just not fast enough on the internet clicking the buttons to add to cart. But anyway, I am certainly fast enough in these shoes. I love them. That's all I can say about that. Enough has been said over the years about this shoe. Still the GOAT for 5K, 10K shoes. It is the second one in my rotation. Okay, moving on to the last category. This is my favorite one. We are going to be talking about my race day shoes. Now there are 3 that I have in my inventory in stock, but there's 2. I got the Alpha Fly 3 in, but I haven't run enough miles in there to really compare it to these other 2, so I'm leaving that one. I'm gonna sideline it until later this year. In the meantime, I want to talk about my 2 shoes at the same time because I feel like they're so similar. They are the ASICS Metaspeed Edge Paris and the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2. Now, the reason I say that they're similar has nothing to do with their geometry. I think the Metaspeed Edge Paris is lighter. I just need to do a shoe battle between both of these shoes, but they are similar in their ranges and use case. I ran a 5K in the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro 2 June 9th, and now June 30th, I'm gonna run a 5K in the Edge Paris. So I'll have a little bit of basis of comparison between the 2 shoes. For the 10K, I'll probably take the Edge Paris that I'm running August 3rd, but for the marathon, I could go Alpha Fly 3 or either one of these shoes because both of these shoes can do the marathon, half marathon, 5Ks, 10Ks. They just feel really good and they have a lot of energy return. They're both very aggressive. And I don't want that in my daily trainer, but I certainly want that in my super shoes when I'm going for a PB. So in no particular order, number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2, put your running shoe rotation in the comments below if you so feel like it. Also, if you did enjoy this running shoe talk, I have a couple more that you can check out right here.
We came along from last place, bottom to top of the fast pace. Out of this surf, I get touchdown. I take a loss, get it back 8. I'm in the gym putting numbers up. You're never there, you got bad traits. Never excuse.